Lan Wangji's black hair cascaded down his shoulders like a gentle waterfall, the tips brushing against his collarbone, seeming to tease their way down to his heart. Wei Wuxian swallowed and softly said, "Lan Zhan, I'm itchy." Lan Wangji's husky voice responded, "Where?" The low, magnetic voice made Wei Wuxian's heart tremble, and he replied shakily, "There." Seemingly infected by the tremor, Lan Wangji's voice also became somewhat unstable. "Where?" Wei Wuxian said, "Under the neck." Lan Wangji leaned in close to his ear. "Here?" Wei Wuxian replied, "A bit lower." Lan Wangji's breath moved downwards, and suddenly Wei Wuxian felt itchy all over. "Here?" Wei Wuxian replied, "Yes, seems like it." Lan Wangji stopped talking, his gaze fixed in one spot, his eyelashes drooping slightly, and his lips moved just a little. The world seemed silent, save for their breaths. Suddenly, footsteps broke the silence. Lan Wangji's heart jumped. A familiar pair of white boots entered his sight. Lan Qiren stopped dead in his tracks, his eyes wide open. When they were caught, their clothes were still neatly worn. Wei Wuxian confirmed multiple times before shouting, "Sir, we really weren't doing anything inappropriate." Silence like ice. It seemed all of Yunqian was cleared out by his shout. Lan Qiren had observed Lan Wangji all morning, seeing him maintain a distance of 3 feet from Wei Wuxian. Slightly restraining himself, his anger dissipated a bit. He was about to find someone to gradually instruct him to obey propriety. Lessons and cultivation could not be neglected even after marriage. An entire lecture had formed in his mind, which he intended to deliver to Lan Wangji. Following the student's guidance on the stone path, what he saw nearly gave him a heart attack. After the shock and outrage, hearing Wei Wuxian's shameless defense left Lan Qiren speechless, his face going from white to black, then red, and ultimately a shade of green, cycling through all colors he showed in front of Wei Wuxian. Wei Wuxian looked at him with sincere eyes. "We were just practicing martial arts." Lan Wangji. As if another look would ruin his lifelong cultivation, Lan Qiren turned to Lan Wangji, speaking deeply and solemnly. "Do not forget what you promised me." Wei Wuxian's gaze shifted between the two. Lan Wangji's surprise evident as guilt flashed in his eyes, lowering his gaze towards Wei Wuxian with worry. "Follow me." Lan Wangji silently followed Lan Qiren, leaving Wei Wuxian unsure if he should move. In the end, no one brought him to the ancestral hall for punishment. He returned to his room, disheartened. That afternoon, unable to focus on his lessons, Wei Wuxian sulked in the silence room, fiddling with Lan Wangji's desk. 2 little bunnies played at his feet. Absently, he tossed them cabbage leaves, which they quickly nibbled. He scratched their fluffy heads. "I envy you two. If Lan Zhan and I were just 2 bunnies in Yunqian, it would be so good, no need to follow rules every day." When Lan Wangji returned from Lan Qiren, it was already dusk. Wei Wuxian climbed off the desk. Seeing Lan Wangji's usual expression, Lan Wangji handed him a book from the desk. The Elegance Collection, detailed and fussy. Wei Wuxian had been forced to finish it in a month under Lan Wangji's supervision, forgetting it as soon as he finished. But this couldn't really be blamed on him. The material clashed with him. He didn't want to see the book, and neither did the book want to see him, often slipping from his hands. Lan Wangji handed him a separate chapter from Elegance Collection, called Harmonious Matrimony, Collection, detailing marital rituals. Wei Wuxian had reluctantly skimmed through it, finding the rules tiresome and overwhelming, worse than other chapters. He once tore a page to feed the rabbits secretly, which they immediately rejected. "This paper is made of trees. Don't you like plants? It's similar, just has some words." Surprisingly, Lan Qiren did not punish them for this vulgar act, only instructed Lan Wangji to ensure Wei Wuxian read Harmonious Matrimony Collection 3 times, committing it to memory. Wei Wuxian listlessly turned a few pages, finding past detailed rules he didn't remember about marital harmony and propriety. Reading carefully, he discovered the actual rules Lan Wangji had referenced. Married people cannot stay in others' rooms, undress in front of others, or read intimate books together, all from here. The meticulous rules even scheduled marital activities to be done at the proper residence after midnight. No more than half an hour, and twice a week. Shocked, Wei Wuxian pointed out. Twice? Lan Wangji looked at him silently. Wei Wuxian, near tearing the page, repeated, "Only twice a week?" implying they had used their quota already that week. This must have been written by lifelong bachelors. Even our bunnies are more active. Both glanced at the rolling bunnies in the corner. Harmonious Matrimony Collection was tossed aside. Wei Wuxian cuddled up to Lan Wangji, nibbling his ear and tugging at his sash. They've never enjoyed such joy, full of envy, can't bear others' happiness. Ignore them, Lan Zhan. I found something new in the book. Let's... Ending breathlessly, Wei Wuxian's hand slipped inside Lan Wangji's robe, moving in for a kiss. Lan Wangji held him at arm's length, serious. Wei Ying, we must not breach the family rules again. Our actions outside were quite improper. We did nothing. Wei Wuxian pouted, noticing a faint blush on Lan Wangji's earlobes, thinking, little old-fashioned has been real husband of me, while is still so shy about touching and hugging, typical of being taught by Lan Qiren. Lan Wangji's lips pressed with worry. This month the punishments have been excessive anymore, and Uncle might... What? Seeing Lan Wangji's rare serious expression, Wei Wuxian huffed. What? Is he going to send me back to Yunmeng? Lan Wangji lowered his eyesight and said nothing. Really? Wei Wuxian leapt up, fists cracking. Fine. Who's afraid? As if I care about the Lan clan. Lan Wangji held his hand. Wei Wuxian, seeing his expression, regretted his outburst, his fist unclenching in Lan Wangji's warm grasp, sitting down. Lan Zhan, I'm sorry? Lan Wangji shook his head. You've been wronged. Wei Wuxian, nose stinging, sighed and buried his face in Lan Wangji's chest. But I can't help but love you, little old-fashioned... Lan Wangji, his breath chaotic a bit by the sudden embrace, pressed his nose into Wei Wuxian's hair later, holding him tighter.